joining us. I'm here with Bree Owens.
Hi.
And you can follow her at Bree_Owens_.
Perfect. Yeah.
So tell us what we're going to do today, Brianna.
Yeah, so we're going to do, we're eventually going to work up to kicking up into forearm stand or Pincha Mayurasana, if you know it that way. So any sort of inversion, we really want to focus a lot on our shoulders and a lot on our core. So we're going to start off with just some really, really basic core activation exercises that you can certainly do at home, and you can, I'll run you through some modifications too. And then we'll warm up our shoulders a little bit, which is super important, and then we'll end with kicking up into forearm stand.
Great.
So I'm going to have Michelle start on her back.
Okay.
Perfect. And then bring your arms to a bent arm T, a cactus shape, or goalpost, any of those cues work, if whatever makes the most sense to you. And then hug your knees in towards your chest. Now squeeze your whole back onto the floor, and think about really pulling your navel into your spine, so vacuum your front body to your back body. And she's going to really squeeze her legs in super, super tight here. Take a deep breath in, and then hover your knees over to the right side. Perfect. Come back up to center, use those obliques to pull you back up. And then rock all the way to the left, hover, awesome. Come back up to center. And then just keep moving at this pace. If you find that this move is a little bit difficult for you, really, really squeeze those legs in towards one another, almost like you've just got one leg. It's a mermaid tail, you're squeezing it in. Now this time, go ahead and straighten your legs up. This is going to be a little bit more intense. She's going to keep that same motion, hovering her legs over to the right. And then using those obliques to pull her back up. Perfect. Hovering over to the left. Yours can maybe look like some sort of hybrid here. Your knees might be a little bit bent, but not quite straight. Whatever works in your body. And just keep practicing these movements at home. Perfect. Finish up on this left side. And then end in the center. And lift your tailbone up towards the sky just about 1 millimeter. Perfect. Now slide your palms underneath your sit bones. She's going to keep all this activation with the legs squeezing everything into the middle of her body. And now start to hover your heels off of the earth. Now you might find that once you get here that your low back starts to bubble up, so keep pressing it down. Yeah, and you see that that activates everything. So then bring the heels back up. And right when you get to the top, hover that tailbone up off the earth just 1 millimeter. Yeah. So on an inhale, lift your right leg really high. And as you exhale, bend your knees, stack the hip, open up to the sidewall. Really kick your heel in towards your sit bone to activate the hamstring. And then drop this right shoulder down just a little, and then press your hands into the floor really firmly, and think about pressing them forward too. So this is that same action we want in our shoulders, this pressing forward action. It's the same when your hands are on your forearms. So square your hips back up, and then release that leg. Left leg lifts. Bend the knees, stack the hip, kick the heel in, and then drop this left shoulder just a little. Press really evenly down into your hands, and then push them forward almost. So they're not really going to move, but we're turning on their shoulders in a different sort of way. Good, beautiful, Michelle. Square the hips back out, release that leg. Go ahead and take a vinyasa here. So inhale, roll up, high plank. Exhale, shift forward, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend, cobra or up dog. Exhale, stretch it back, downward facing dog. So inhale, roll out to a high plank again. And then this time I want you to stay right here at the top. So vacuum your front body into your back body, just like you're doing. Press the floor really, really firmly away with your hands. So almost like a hollow-bodied plank. So we're keeping the core really active, we're keeping the shoulders super active.
Yeah, sometimes I would look at your planks, like sometimes people are like this.
Exactly.
That's not going to do as much as if you're pulling all your body in.
Yeah, and it's a different action, you know. So sometimes we'll have you sort of drop a little bit lower. So take one more inhale here. Really puff up through the back of the heart. Beautiful. And stretch back, downward facing dog. Inhale, roll up to a high plank again. Now one at a time, come down onto your forearms. And then bring your hands to a prayer position. Squeeze your palms towards one another.
Okay.
So you can interlace your fingers if you're trying this at home. Some people like that a little bit better, or you can just squeeze those palms in. So from here, same action. She's rooting her wrists down, she's rooting her forearms down, she's pushing everything towards the front of her mat. Do you feel that shoulder engagement there, Michelle? Yeah, that's what we want in a forearm stand. So from here, walk your toes in just a little bit, as far as your hamstrings are going to allow you this morning. So everything's progressive in yoga. So the first time you do this, it might feel really, really foreign to you. So you see her shoulders are over her elbows. Good, beautiful. Up those feet back again. One at a time, press up into your hands. Stretch back, downward facing dog. So lift your right leg high again on an inhale. Bend the knees, stack the hips, same thing as before. Now from here, I'm going to have you wiggle your left fingertips back, more towards the center of your mat a little bit, and then bend your elbow, come down onto your forearm. Yeah. Now, really, really stack this hip, open up to the side wall, and maybe you start to gaze underneath your right arm, and if that's too much on your neck, then you come out of it. So same thing here, press really firmly down into that palm. Think about pushing it towards the front edge of your mat. And go ahead and come back, regular downward facing dog, wiggle those left fingertips up. Other side, lift the left leg high, bend the knees, stack the hip. And then crawl those right fingertips back just a little as you bend the elbow. Pull the whole side body over through that left arm. Maybe you gaze up. Keep pressing really firmly in that palm. Come back, regular downward facing dog. Take a child's pose for a moment. So these are little movements. Our shoulders, so we build strength in our shoulders really, really quickly. We can also lose some of that strength really quickly. So if forearm stand or any other shoulder work is something that you want to work on, you want to keep doing it really consistently to build up all of that strength. So we're going to go ahead and kick up. Let's do it.
Let's try.
So come down onto your forearms. Now I like it whenever I come into forearm stand, I like my palms flat down. What do you prefer?
I usually do them flat down.
Yeah.
I've seen people do them like this. My issue is my shoulders. I don't know if it's mobility or what it is. Forearm stand is actually harder for me than handstand.
And I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
So we're all different.
And so maybe it's the length. Who knows? Everybody's body is different. So sometimes I'm not as stable in forearm stand. But I definitely do this. And sometimes I use a block even between my hands right here. So if you have a yoga block or something.
Even like a heavy book, you can use a book too. Yeah. You can measure the distance. Go ahead and come down onto your hands and knees. And then grab opposite arms here.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great way to measure the distance between your elbows to make sure that your elbows are going to be right underneath your shoulders when you plant the hands back down. So go ahead and release and then plant the hands. Yeah, I like this too. Some people really like the prayer, so try them both out, see what works for you. So if I'm spotting her, I'm going to bring one of my feet right to the center of her hands. She's going to walk those feet in just like we did earlier and then really root everything down and then float up. I'm going to grab one of her legs, squeeze your legs in towards one another. You see she's got really good activation in her feet here too. So whether you're flexed or pointed or flointed, kind of like Michelle is here, active, active, active feet really helps. Good, good, good. Go ahead and come down whenever you're ready, Michelle. Take a child's pose, rest. Or sit back on your heels.
So speaking of feet,
Yeah.
so there's a new blog post up on my website. You can go to sprightly.com. So I have a lot of foot fans.
Yeah.
I never really understood like the attractiveness of feet, but there's actually something interesting about how your brain, sometimes the wires get crossed. And there's been medical research on why people find feet attractive. So anyway, if you want to go check it out on my blog, it's on sprightly.com. So do you have a website too?
No, I don't have a website, but I've done a couple blog posts for Michelle.
Brianna does do my blog. Yeah, it does post on my blog.
Yeah.
What was your last post? We just posted it too.
So I have a big tattoo on my thigh of a goddess, so I kind of describe that, sort of what she means to me and why I got it, and sort of what it means to sort of have a connection to that goddess. So check it out.
And if you want to be a contributor to my website, you can actually, I'll potentially post, you can submit some blog posts to my email, michelle@sprightly.com, and I'll look them over and see if it's a connection. It's all about creativity and inspiration. So definitely if anybody's interested in submitting and being a contributor, I'm open to that.
And definitely check out the website. Of course, it's Michelle, so the photos are all gorgeous.
What else? Are we good?
I think we're good. Yeah. You can follow me. My stuff's on Michelle's story.
But
Brianna Brianna_Owens_.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.